Houses burnt, businesses looted, relatives still buried in the rubble. Hamas officials have called for 130,000 emergency tents to shelter people returning to the north. Gaza's displaced, still homeless, even after coming home. The road outside, once divided by military checkpoints, now a place of reunions. Israeli soldiers withdrawn, replaced by familiar faces. The impact of this truce is taking hold, but talks on extending it into a permanent ceasefire, talks on Gaza's future, haven't yet begun. For Gazans, the road back home is open, but the path ahead is unclear.
Let's speak to Sam Rose now, Senior Deputy Director of UNRWA Affairs in Gaza. Thanks for being with us. So, Lucy mentioned there the path ahead unclear. What is the situation in northern Gaza when people get there?
I mean, absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Lauren. Look, we've had yesterday, in the first 6 hours of the crossing points opening, we had over 200,000 people cross. That was just in the first 6 hours. So we can anticipate that the population in northern Gaza will be doubling in the next few days. And what they're going back to, many of them, are scenes of complete devastation. They know before they travel that their homes are likely to be destroyed or at least severely damaged, but they want to go home anyway, in the same way that we would want to go home. People who've been unable to go home for 15 months now are making that journey back. So most will be faced with devastation. There are services that we are able to provide up north. Since the ceasefire came into effect over a week ago, large supplies of basic aid supplies, basic aid commodities have been coming in. So we're able to provide food, we're able to provide some water, some basic shelter supplies, some monitoring of particularly vulnerable cases. But it's a massive, massive effort that lies ahead of us.
You mentioned the food and water. Tell us a bit about the shelter situation, because people seem to be going back with very little. If their home has been destroyed, how do they camp there? What's the setup there?
Yeah, some temporary camps are being set up. Some people, I've witnessed them myself here in central and southern Gaza, are traveling north with tarpaulins, with plastic sheets on their backs. At UNRWA, we have dozens of schools in Gaza City and northern Gaza, and we anticipate that many people will seek shelter there. But what some people are doing is, if their entire home hasn't been destroyed, there may be a room left, there may be a couple of rooms left. People are seeking shelter where they are, maybe trying to just secure one room, two rooms. They'll put plastic tents, plastic sheets up around where their homes were, and they'll build out from there. But we really do need to scale up in the north. It's essential that we get these supplies in. I mean, many of the supplies we're distributing now, they've been stuck outside of Gaza for 6, 7, 8 months. We have some supplies there. We don't have the volumes that we need, unfortunately, not just yet.
And your organisation is at threat because the Israeli government wants to end your operations there. How is that going to impact the aid situation on the ground?
It will have a massive impact if the bills go through and if we're unable to bring those supplies in. 2/3 almost of food aid that's come into Gaza since the ceasefire came into effect has been UNRWA supplies. We're providing healthcare, we're providing garbage removal, sanitation support, all these things that are massively, massively at risk if these bills come into effect. Of course, we don't work on our own, but we're the largest mechanism, and many of the other aid agencies depend on UNRWA. So it's a grim prospect, unfortunately.
You mentioned in passing the basic healthcare that you can send in. But we know about some of the hospitals have been destroyed. Tell us a little bit about what the priorities are for getting the healthcare system back up and running.
Absolutely. I mean, on the primary healthcare level, there are health points that are being set up. UNRWA health centers are being repaired, rapid repairs to get these centers back up and running, similar to what we've had to do in southern and central Gaza over the past several months. And the tertiary care sector assessments have been completed by the World Health Organization and others of some of the hospitals in the north. They're in desperate conditions, but the system, as it has done over the past 16 months, will do everything it can to get those services up and running as quickly as possible. Some of the field hospitals that have been set up in the south as well will also look to redeploy where the people are.
Sam Rose, thank you very much indeed for joining us from the latest from Gaza there. And we'll have plenty more on that throughout the